Yesterday, I was watching this video by a YouTuber who goes by the name Homeboy and the Pyramids podcast, right? And he did a video yesterday called "Have the Passport Bros Ruined Thailand? Will they ruin travel for all black men?" Now, let's be real. The title was a bit provocative, maybe a little bit, a little bit out there, but it is what it is. But in terms of what he was discussing, the title fits, right? It wasn't like it's purely clickbait and he wasn't, he was just baiting people. It fits. I get why he titled it that, and I get where he's coming from. And in the video, he's just kind of reviewing what some white dude was saying about certain nationalities kind of, being seen as being problematic in Thailand. And he was talking about, this article to do with, guys, or I should say foreigners, facing more scrutiny over in Thailand. Now, here's what my thing is, because I don't even want to address his video per se. I actually want to address one of the comments that's on the video, or I should say some of the comments that's on the video, because I left a comment on the video and I want to address two comments. I already replied to one of the comments myself, like in the comment section, but I just want to do a video reviewing this because I thought this would actually be an interesting topic to just briefly discuss. So there was one comment from one person that said, "You can't have it both ways. When you're raking in money from being the brothel of the world, don't be surprised that you'll get undesirables from all corners of the planet." And I feel like this comment was slightly referencing my comment that I posted just a little before that, because I mentioned undesirables. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that next person who comments after me says undesirables when I'm mentioning undesirables pulling up. But here's the thing, right? And I responded to this comment saying that I basically agree with them, and that I don't have problems with, men, black men, whoever traveling, and or even broadcasting it, right? And I don't have problems with them doing whatever, their money, tricking. I don't care. I'm not one of these dudes who's online like, "Oh, you guys do P for P." Meanwhile, every fucking time you look up, these are the same motherfuckers that are rolling in P for P zones abroad. You ain't ever gonna see them in a country where the bitches ain't going for $50. You don't see them. You don't see them there. Just being real, you don't see them there. And if you do see them there, you see them there for a quick little trip, and so that just so they can say they were there. To make their brand look cleaner than it is, and they'll keep it moving. But they ain't out there for no extended period. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear that bullshit. But anyway, I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those guys who's like trying to hate on that shit or hate on that. I've already kind of stated in the previous video, like the very last video I did, about what my views kind of were when it comes to the whole Passport Bros thing and whatever. My thing is, I am a traditionalist when it comes to Passport Bros. I'm of the original mentality. It's not that the dudes traveling or tricking or any of that shit. I don't personally care. So yes, some guys do care. There are some guys who say, "Yo, we need to clean up the Passport Bro image. Yo, guys are tricking. That's not a good look." And that's fair enough. My personal opinion, I don't think it matters, because when it comes down to it, I don't think dudes tricking is the be all end all, like the end of the world, especially not when they're doing it in places that are known for that. I really don't think that's the major issue. The major issue to me though is the deception. It's the straight up cap. It's the lies. It's the faking. It's the phoniness. That's the shit I can't stand. Niggas is running around on YouTube with a girl on their arm saying that, "Oh, she my wifey. Oh, I met her here in the library. I met her beneath a fucking starry night sky." All kinds of goofy ass lying on shit. And then at the same time though, a next motherfucker pulls up and exposes it. And the thing is, and we just got to keep it real about this, when it comes to black people in particular, and I know I'm not American, but I'm going to say it, when it comes to black Americans specifically, because black Brits, I'm going to keep it real. And I might do a video about this at some point, but black Brits, I'm going to keep it real. We don't really move too messy like this from what I've seen. I'm not saying it ain't possible, but from what I've seen, I ain't seen the content. I ain't seen none of that. I ain't seen black British guys trying to expose each other. I ain't seen none of that shit. So a lot of the time, it's you guys who are Americans, like, you bring that culture of trying to fuck each other over, fuck another man's bitch, and like you bring a lot of that shit with you. And you're making yourselves look bad in doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're making yourselves look bad in doing that, because the way people are going to look at it is like, oh, see, they're bringing the girl over here, they're bringing this, they're bringing that. And you got to remember, black people are already have a very kind of, you know, a very mixed type of image globally. Yes, there are a lot of people who are going to fuck with you because they think about hip-hop and rap and basketball. Yes, you're going to have people who they're just going to be obsessed with the idea of, you know, you might have a BBC. Yes, you're going to have people who are going to be attracted to you because you're different. Yes, you will have people like that, but by and large, there's going to always, and even from some of those people who seem like they fuck with you, there's always going to be a certain degree of, you know, a kind of animosity or jealousy or resentment or whatever towards you, just for the fact you're black. And that's something I want to discuss a little bit more when addressing this next comment. But just to quickly say to that first comment, I agree with the dude saying, yes, if you're, you know, Thailand's known for sex tourism, this and third, no matter what anyone tries to say, that's what it's known for. And, you know, they can't really, I mean, they could try to clean it up, but that's going to be a very hard task. It's not like how it is in South America, where there's certain areas known for it. In Thailand, it's like damn near like whole fucking cities. Like Pattaya is literally, the whole place is red light. That's how it's pretty much perceived. You get what I'm saying? So it's going to be quite difficult to, you know, the most they could do is say no selling on Beach Road. You can get rid of the chicks on Beach Road, but I mean, you're going to be removing one of your main attractions. I'm just keeping it real. So when we look at this next comment though, I want to address this next comment where this dude is saying, this is just passport bros hate, trying to blame all the problems in these countries, tourist industry, on the passport bros. Stop the hate. Now I'm just gonna address this just first and foremost. This whole like, you know, oh, this is just passport bros hate. Stop the hate. You sound like a fucking 17, 16, 15-year-old teenage girl who spends too much fucking time on Twitter and TikTok. That's what you sound like. You sound like one of those people who uses catchphrases and hashtags to like get your point across, and you think that all of the world is built around fucking liberal lingo. That's what you sound like. I'm sorry, I'm just being real. That's what that comment reads like to me. I'm not even saying that the comment's wrong in what it's saying, it's just the way it's phrased. I just like, that don't seem like how a grown man should write a fucking comment. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be real. But I'm not going to attack base just solely on that. Let's actually break down and look at what you're actually saying, and let's actually just, you know, counter that. So, saying this is just passport bros hate. First and fucking foremost, and this isn't me trying to speak for the dude, you know, for Homeboy in the Pyramids. I'm not trying to speak for you, but I do want to address it from the perspective of like, anyone who makes videos critiquing passport bros. This is what you got to understand, and I'm saying this as a guy who advocates for black men to be traveling. You having criticisms of something is not hate. Hate is when you don't want something to be, period. If you just hated the idea of black men traveling, irregardless, like I'm talking, even if they were clean cut, even if they were moving right, even if they're behaving correct, if you're still just like, man, fuck these niggas, I want to see them travel, then yeah, you're just a straight up hater. But if you're critiquing some reasonable shit, like when we see these videos that have come out lately of black people over there wilding the fuck out in Thailand, yeah, I think we're allowed to critique that shit. I think we're allowed to talk on that shit. And if we think that that might in some way play into influencing how the nationals, you know, the people of these countries perceive us, and then we make videos on it, I think that's fair. And the problem is like, when it comes to a lot of people, and it's ain't just black people, but especially with black people, niggas have always got this thing where they want to kind of try and silence any critique. They don't want us to ever speak the real on our bullshit. And it's so, and like, it's annoying. It's annoying because it's part of the reason why black people can't get their shit right and get moving forward. Because whenever you want to point out the dysfunction or point out the things that we shouldn't be doing, there's always motherfuckers who come through and are like, oh, this is just passport bros hate. This is just hating on black men. You're just hating on this. And don't get me wrong, yes, some people are haters. You're right. But you need to learn discernment. You need to learn to tell the difference. You need to be able to learn that. Because I watched that video and that didn't come across like hate. And trust and believe, if I thought it was hate, I wouldn't have left a comment in the video on the video agreeing. So I get it. There are haters. There are legitimate passport bro haters. There are people who, no matter what you do, they're just gonna talk shit about the fact you're traveling. We see that with the women all the time on TikTok and this and the third. We see it. It don't matter what kind of guys are traveling. It don't matter how they're moving. They're just mad and angry at the fact that you're moving at all. I understand that. But you need to be able to learn to distinguish between those motherfuckers and people who are cool with it, who agree with it, who even support it, like myself, but we're critical of the things about it that make it look bad. And in fact, it's because I support it. It's because I want it to do better and to look better. That's why I'll critique it. That's the reason why. Because as a lot of you motherfuckers like to say, iron sharpens iron. But you know what the thing is? A lot of you like to say that phrase, but a lot of you don't like to live by it. That's the truth. So the next thing you say is trying to blame all the problems in these countries, tourist industry, on the passport bros. And it's like, I get to a degree what you're saying, because in the video, what homeboy in the pyramids was saying is he was addressing an article, and he was saying that he believes it's specifically about black guys. So his response is that it's not hate, it's an observation. This is why most of us who are not passport bros have been concerned with their movement, because what they do, it carries over to other black men. Also, passport bros have their haters for sure, but if you check my content, I've tried to be neutral with them. See, fair enough, that's exactly what I'm saying. I didn't agree with them, but I wasn't against them until recently. Dudes can be passport bros all they want, as long as I don't have to carry their weight. And I think that's a fair response. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's basically saying, look, you can do your thing, be passport bros, do what you're doing, but it's just like your actions affect the perception of other people, and that's the truth. And let me tell you guys something. For those of you who do want to you know, consider yourself passport bros, and you want to use that label, you need to be the most critical of the motherfuckers in that shit, or the motherfuckers who claim that shit. You need to be the most critical, the most. Because when you see these guys online who use those labels, who use that kind of terminology to describe themselves, and they're doing a madness, this is a problem. Look, you see, when we saw that this young dude who went viral, bro, I even had Tygo sending me that video. I first saw it from Passport Bro channels, but the same day I had Tygo sending me that video asking me what do I think about that. You get what I'm saying? Not in like a challenging way, but just out of curiosity. You know what I'm saying? They weren't impressed. You feel me? Like, they weren't fucking impressed. Now, I'm just gonna keep it real. There's not a ton of us out there. So, and this is something that another comment, you know, was saying in this comment thread. Right, it's not even that many black men in Thailand. This has nothing to do with passport bros. I'm not so sure about that. Here's what you've got to understand, right? Like, there's a misconception here, yeah. Just because there isn't a great amount of people doing something doesn't mean the influence of that thing is not greater than the number of people doing it, if you get what I'm saying. In other words, just because you might be a minority does not mean you always have the weakest amount of power or influence. And it's not just that. When it comes to black men specifically, there's a certain mentality that other groups of people have towards us. And, you know, I think of it as it's the whole, oh, well, there goes the neighborhood mentality, right? It's the idea that, like, once a few of us pop up somewhere, these motherfuckers will exasperate it in their own minds. I'm talking the white people and whoever. They will exasperate it in their mind. They'll just see 2 or 3 black guys, and all of a sudden there's a whole influx of niggas. That's how they view it. That's how a lot of people view it, because they're not used to seeing us in certain places. So what happens is, once they start seeing a few, and then a few more, and then a few more, and they notice on their daily outings the frequency is increasing, they're gonna start asking, like, where are these niggas all coming from? You know, they're all coming out here now, they're flooding it. And it don't matter if statistically we are the least amount. It don't matter, because look, even in predominantly white countries, things like white flight exist because of that very reason. And that's in places where they're still the majority. We're talking about Asia right now. We're talking about Thailand, a country where they shouldn't be the majority, and they ain't the majority because it's not their fucking country. But even in their own countries, they will start moving themselves around. Bro, here in the UK, in London, I even studied this in school. There was a whole concept called, you know, the whole white flight concept of white people leaving London, going to these other little cities and places outside of London, because they don't want, you know, because they feel like they don't want to be around, you know, people who are darker, black people, Asian people, Indians, whatever. They feel like, you know, like, oh well, it's getting a bit too diverse for my liking. That's how a lot of these motherfuckers think. And trust me, there's a lot of people who ain't up to move anywhere, but who still have that mentality of where they would like to get the fuck out of it. Or where, you know, they tolerate it, but they're just like, in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, he's fucking, here we go, we gotta deal with him. That's how a lot of them think. I promise you, that's how a lot of them are thinking. Let me put it to you like this. If they could choose between having your ass there and not having your ass there, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, right? But to do with what these guys are saying specifically, I get their point. When you read the article, you know, they'll be talking about other things. They'll talk about a lot of, you know, like white people who've been doing wrong things. They'll be arresting white people all the time. And I don't think this crackdown is specifically against black guys. I don't think that they're like, oh, these black men are coming here, we need to crack down now. I don't think that's what it is. I don't give a fuck what that white boy said in the video. I don't care what he said. He's just a white dude talking and running his mouth. I don't give a fuck. I think that for the most part, because to be fair, he said certain nationalities, and this is where I'm gonna have to kind of somewhat counter what Homeboy in the Pyramids said in his video. I don't think that even the white dude, when he said certain nationalities, I don't even think he could be talking about black people. Maybe I wouldn't put it past him, but to be truthfully honest with you, he could honestly just be talking about other nationalities of white people. He could be talking about both. You know what I'm saying? He could be talking about both. But either way, yeah, it sounds like it could be some slick commentary. It sounds like it could be some slick shit, some shade thrown towards black people. It sounds like that. But in terms of the nationals, like in terms of them saying they're gonna do crackdowns on foreigners, they're not gonna be. Look, first of all, they're not gonna be able to just do crackdowns just solely on black people, because I mean, again, to be fair to what the commenters are saying, there isn't enough black people yet, really, for them to just crack down only on black people and have that be a thing. But to your point as well, though, you will notice that there is definitely a certain type of kind of like pattern being formed here. If you look at what's going on with them trying to impose the restrictions in a lot of the South American countries that black guys specifically frequent, you do have to kind of start asking yourself, okay, what's going on there, right? You start looking at the restrictions that now, of course, in Thailand, they're trying to push a little bit more and they're trying to crack down on certain things. You have to wonder why. You know what I'm saying? It does seem like the places where black guys in the last few years have specifically recently been blowing up, those big 4 places specifically, they're trying to crack down on a bit more. Maybe not Sosua so much, but you know, Colombia, yes. Brazil, yes. And Thailand, yes. That is 3 out of the 4 main places that black guys specifically have been talking about in the last few years. And 3 out of the 4 are trying to impose some sort of restrictions or trying to crack down. And let's be very clear, they're cracking down specifically in the spots that you guys are known for frequenting. Cartagena, Medellin, right? Brazil. And of course with Brazil, they're obviously talking about the whole country, but let's be real, that's pretty much mostly going to apply to Rio, because that's where most people go, right? Now Brazil, you know, they decide to push their shit back, fair enough, whatever. But you know, now here's the truth, I don't think it's only specific to black people, because at the end of the day, these restrictions they're imposing affects everybody. So I don't think it's just a specific thing towards black people, but I do think it's interesting timing. I'm just gonna be real, and I'm not that type of person to be race baiting or oh, they just got a problem with that black man. I'm not that type of person. But, and to be truthfully honest, I don't know if the governments in these countries necessarily have got so much smoke for you specifically as a black person. But I will say this though, I will say this. You got to understand that there is a general sort of, as I say, like a general sort of discontentment in regards to black guys specifically. And we're just going to be real about why. A lot of guys look at it like, when it comes to black men, like, oh, you're going to come there, you're going to get with the chicks, you're going to, you know, you're going to do the most, you're going to satisfy them in a way that they feel like they can't do. Like, look, let's look at Thailand specifically. With white dudes, it's all good when the Indian man rolls up there in droves. You know why? because he's not threatened by him. The white guys aren't threatened by Indians. They don't look at them like they can do anything that they can't do. They don't. They just, and they know that the average Thai woman ain't really fucking with the Indians heavy. They might just get with them to get a bit of money, but most of them don't fuck with them like that. But you see, when it comes to black guys though, they know that black guys have got the ability to go over there with a certain type of swagger, a certain type of sauce that the white boys can't imitate. They can't beat us in that. They know they can't. And that makes us more of a problem. Because not only can they not beat us in it, not only can they not really truly replicate it, but also on top of that fact, it's something that the girls do like. Bro, you go, when I was in Thailand in January, right? I was in, what the fuck's that club? Republic? I was in Republic, I believe it's Republic. One's got the 2 floors. And I was in like on the bottom floor, and I was like on the tables at the back. And there was not a single Negro in there. Like not when I was there anyway. There was not a single black guy in there. Maybe they were upstairs in the club bit, because the part I was in was more like chilled, relaxed or whatever, where people were playing pool. A lot of old dudes there, pretty much mostly old guys there. But I was there because there was a couple of chicks I was meeting, and I was chilling with them. So when I was sitting there though, I was looking around, and they've got these screens. They've got these screens that are like over the seating area. And I was looking up at them, and it's like, you got all this 90s kind of hip hop playing, you know what I'm saying, some early 2000s joints. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the screen, like, and I'm looking around and I'm realizing, I'm like, bro, like, I'm the only person here that matches the images that's on these screens. You get what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there really thinking about that. And I'm like, thinking like, these motherfuckers is all in here vibing, getting lit to music made by motherfuckers who, now bear in mind, I'm not black American, but it don't matter, because whether it's the UK music that they don't play that shit as often, but they do play it here and there, or whether it's that, or whether, and here's the thing, they don't know where I'm from when they see me, so they just know I'm black, you know what I'm saying? But from when they see me as a younger black guy there, and you got motherfuckers up on the screen who, let's just be real, look more like me than them, it's a bit mad to think, and we're in Asia. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit mad to think that kind of music, that type of imagery is what's being celebrated. Look, unless you go to the Indian clubs, no one's playing Indian music, bro. And I've been in there, I've been in Jannah and that, and I'm cool, it's cool in there, it's whatever, I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm from London, I'm from UK, I've got friends who are Indian, I know people who are Indian, so I'm used to that. But when you're there, and the average sound of music that a lot of people are going to want to play a lot of the time is going to be some hip-hop shit. You got people who will be in clubs full of white and Asian people with very few black people, but the hip-hop is still jumping. They're still getting lit to it. They're still getting, having a good time off of something that black people have been able to create. So what that lets you know is, what do you think these guys are concerned about when the people who are most closely related and associated with that specific culture and that specific image, when they pull up, what do you think these guys are going to start feeling? It doesn't matter if it's only a few. What you've got to understand, the guy who made this comment where he's saying that it's not that many people, you know what I'm saying, what you've got to understand is a few is a few too many. That's what you've got to understand. Is it unreasonable? Yes. Is it stupid? Yes. But then at the same time, where I do kind of understand where they're coming from, and where some of us who don't want to see shit get fucked up and don't want, the way black people are perceived to be messed up or negative, we understand that we understand that all it takes is a couple of us for people to have the excuse to just say, yeah, see, this is why we didn't want them, man. This is why it only takes a few. It only takes a few. That's one of the reasons why the idea of Pookies getting around is such a delicate thing to people. Because, listen, we as black people, we know that the majority ain't like that. But look, let me ask you guys a question. In Western countries, are black people perceived as being criminals? Are black people perceived as being, you know, thieves? Like you know, you go into a store or whatever and the security guard's looking at you extra hard as opposed to any other group of people in there. Is that not a thing that as black people we deal with? Is it not normal that you might go and sit on, I know this happens to me every fucking day. I go on public transport, I get on the tube, right? And there's a lot of times motherfuckers don't want to sit next to me. Is it not? I don't get me wrong, there are people who will sit next to me, but what I'm saying is a lot of times you can see people trying to avoid it. You understand? Are we gonna act like we don't see these types of little things? We all know the classics, like the white lady who's gonna cross the road and we all know these things. So we know that there's a certain perception of us specifically. In spite of the fact most of us ain't criminals. In spite of the fact most of us are not going to rob no white lady. In spite of the fact most of us are not about to cut up and do a madness. Even though the majority of us are tax-paying citizens who do fucking handle our business. Even though that's how most of us are. How is it that we're still perceived? So it doesn't matter if most of the people in Thailand are moving correct. It only takes a few. Because when it comes to black people, unfortunately, we're the only group really who is judged by what the lesser of us do. It's not fair, it's some bullshit, but we have to be cognizant and realistic about that. You have to be. And I think that's where some of us are coming from when we're being more hypercritical about what we're doing as black people, because we know that everyone else is. We know that when it comes to how we're perceived, there's a saying I've heard people say, and it is one of the realest fucking things I've heard in regards to black people and our relation to other groups. If a white person, you take a white guy, if he does something crazy or fucked up, he's perceived as an individual. But if a black guy does something crazy or fucked up, he's seen as being part of a group. And that's one of the realest things I've ever heard. It's so fucking accurate. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's so accurate. I'm telling you right now, when you live in multicultural places like London, like I do, and when you meet people and you even kind of associate with people from different races, and I'm talking people who ain't like straight up like hateful racist type of people, you still see the prejudices they have. And these are people who are actually decent. These are people who actually would like to be friends with you as a black person. These are people who don't want to be racist or who don't want to be hateful. They have no hate in their heart towards you. But even they have certain prejudices because they've been conditioned by society. And that lets you know how deep it actually runs. Because until you as a black person come and challenge those perceptions, or unless it just they happen to just come across enough situations that challenge it for them, they're not going to think like that. There's so many situations I can point to. There's so many misconceptions and myths I can point to that the average person possesses about black people, in spite of the fact they might live right next to us. And that lets you know something. Even the people who are your neighbors can still look at you as a stereotype. And that's in spite of the fact that they know or have been around you. And I have to point out, because in these countries, these motherfuckers ain't around you like that. For the exact reason some of you are saying, because there ain't that many of us there. So they've already got certain stereotypes and perceptions in their head. And even after they meet some people who challenge that, when it comes to black people, it's not that easy. There's still, a lot of them are still going to maintain those perceptions. And the truth is, the harsh truth is that a lot of them want to. A lot of them don't want to see the best in you. And you know what? Fuck them. Fuck those people. But we have to be real about this shit. That's all I'm saying. We have to be real about it. You know? So I'm just going to quickly read a few more comments, just real quick. So this guy said, so what if black men want to partake in the fun? Too many ninjas want to be exclusive. Don't want other black men to enjoy themselves too. No such thing as too many ninjas. That's not true. As long as they're behaving themselves, it shouldn't matter. See, I would love to believe that. I would love to agree with you. But the reality is, it does matter. It does fucking matter. Now, you're right. If they're behaving themselves, it shouldn't matter. But the truth of the matter is just like how you got white people out there who cut up because there's so many of them, you're gonna have the same with black people. The problem is two things. One is how disproportionate it is, and it's the types of shit black people do. And then two, it's the fact that, like I just said, there's already that stigma attached to us where people already perceive us as being a threat or being troublemakers. So because people already view us like that, they don't view white people like that. This is what you've got to understand. They don't view white people as a threat. They don't. They don't look at the white people coming to their country and view them in a negative light or view them with caution. They don't look at them like that. They're not intimidated by them in the same type of way. Do you understand? And this is in spite of the fact that historically, black people ain't done shit to these people. White people have. I'm not saying Thailand specifically, but we just look at Asia. Bro, who are they going to be more prejudiced towards in Asia? Whites or blacks? We know who it is. In spite of the fact that who's the ones that have actually tried to fuck them up in history? Whites or blacks? So even though black people ain't ever had a history of doing shit to these people, they still look at you a certain type of way. This is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Like, that's what you got to realize. It's not about fairness. We as black people, you're looking at it from the perspective of being black and knowing black people and knowing that we ain't all trash. But these people aren't in the black community. They don't live with us and they don't have to sympathize with us. They don't have to give a fuck about your feelings. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they're not a black person and they don't live the black experience. And they're not trying to. They don't want to. You understand? Yeah, they might want to kind of get your swagger. Yeah, they might want to, take a bit of your coolness. And yeah, some of them that are a bit more raunchy, they might want to use your manhood for certain little fucking kinks they've got. But at the end of the day, ultimately, in terms of your humanity, a lot of them ain't seeing it. That's the harsh, God's honest truth. It is. Maybe we can change that, slowly but surely. But in order for that to be achieved, we've got to be willing to speak up and speak out against the motherfuckers doing goofy ass shit. So if that means that it's going to come across like some hate on Passport Bros, then so fucking be it. But I'm not having it where when I pull up the countries, motherfuckers is extra tight because of some goofy shit a couple niggas did. And I know that that's how it is. It's not fair. It's bullshit, but it's the truth. It's the reality. And I'm not talking about this article specifically, but in general, that's how the world views it. In general, that's how the world views it. Is it fair? No. But in general, that's how the world views it. I'm going to just leave it there because I've already been going on for longer than I honestly wanted to. If you did manage to make it this far into the video, I greatly appreciate it because I know this shit was long as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always tell people, yo, if you're watching videos on YouTube that run a little on the longer side, put that shit on, 1.5 speed minimum, I'd say. Me personally, I'm the type to listen on like 1.75 if the person speaks kind of slow. Sometimes even 2 times speed, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll just run through shit at that point. But yeah, appreciate you guys for listening. I will try to make more videos addressing some other topics. There's some interesting things I would like to talk about in regards to Thailand. I don't want to always make I don't want to make videos like this like all the time. I don't. That is, I've got more to me than just talking about like passport. I don't want to do that. So we can talk about some other stuff, but this is something that I just wanted to address because it was a recent thing and it was something that I was somewhat engaged in. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Appreciate you for listening.